Putin threatens to arm countries to strike West. 4 killed, dozens injured in Czech train crash. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. I am Olivia Nicholas and this is World Today. Russian President Vladimir Putin criticized the West's delivery of long-range weapons to Ukraine, arguing Moscow could arm other countries with similar weapons to attack Western targets. The comment, which Putin made at a rare press conference with foreign news outlets, came after several Western countries gave Ukraine the green light to strike targets inside Russia, a move Moscow has called a grave miscalculation.
Что если кто-то считает возможным поставлять такое оружие в зону боевых действий для нанесения ударов по нашей территории и создания проблем для нас, то почему у нас нет права поставлять наше оружие такого же класса в те регионы мира, где будут наноситься удары по чувствительным объектам тех стран, которые делают это в отношении России?
Putin warned that Western arms deliveries to Ukraine were a very negative step, saying that donors were controlling the weapons. The 71-year-old Kremlin chief also dismissed as bollocks suggestions that Russia planned to attack NATO members. He explained that Moscow harbors no imperial ambitions. Russia denied for months that it was preparing a military offensive in Ukraine before launching the assault on the 24th of February 2022, accusing Western powers of trying to use their Ukrainian ally to harm Russia. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's National Democratic Alliance formally named him to lead a new coalition government for a third straight term, a day after it regained power with a surprisingly slim majority. Modi, a populist who has dominated Indian politics since 2014, will for the first time head a government dependent on the support of regional allies whose loyalties have wavered over time, which could complicate the new cabinet's reform agenda. A day after the humbling election outcome for his Bharatiya Janata Party, following a strong performance by the opposition India bloc, Modi's 15 alliance partners met at his New Delhi residence and named him as their leader. Modi's National Democratic Alliance won 293 seats in the 543-member lower house of parliament, more than the simple majority of 272 seats needed to form a government. Meanwhile, the India Alliance, led by Rahul Gandhi's centrist Congress Party, won 230 seats, more than forecast. Modi was set to meet President Draupadi Murmu tomorrow to present his claim to form a government, and the swearing-in could take place over the weekend. Analysts said Modi's reliance on coalition partners means he faces the prospect of a far tougher than expected third term. Israel's military pounded central Gaza with heavy airstrikes as international talks to secure a truce and hostage release deal resumed. The bloodiest ever Gaza war raged on, with jets bombing targets overnight and Palestinian officials reporting yet no deaths. Urban combat and shelling intensified in Gaza's southern city of Rafah, while fighting resumed in central areas. The Israeli army announced targeted operational activities in the areas of Burej and eastern Deir al-Balah. Palestinian officials said bombardment of central Gaza killed at least 11 people near the Al-Maghazi camp and 2 near Deir al-Balah. Families rushed the wounded, including children, to hospitals where civilians were once more packing their belongings on pickup trucks and wheelchairs to flee. U.S. President Joe Biden last Friday outlined a plan to halt the fighting for 6 weeks while hostages are exchanged for Palestinian prisoners and aid is stepped up. Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani and Egypt's intelligence chief Abbas Kamil met with Hamas members in Doha for talks on the Gaza truce. Central Intelligence Agency Chief Bill Burns was also expected in Qatar to continue working with mediators to reach an agreement on a cessation of hostilities. Food insecurity is likely to worsen in the Gaza Strip in the next 6 months as the raging Israel-Hamas war continues to aggravate the humanitarian crisis in the area. According to a report jointly released by the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations and the World Food Programme, access for aid supplies into the Gaza Strip has been heavily restricted, and the food crisis in the embattled enclave is expected to worsen by mid-July.
Almost half of the population in Gaza is projected to be in an emergency level of food insecurity, and access to the affected population has been difficult, and also even getting staff into Gaza has not been consistent due to the insecurity. So that's a dire situation where we urgently require access to the affected population.
The report also shows that food insecurity is becoming more acute in 20 other countries and regions, including Sudan and Mali. Violence and conflict, natural disasters and economic crisis continue to be the main causes of global food insecurity. At least 4 people died and dozens were injured when an express train crashed head-on with a freight train in the Czech city of Pardubice. The accident occurred shortly before 11 p.m. local time near the main train station in Pardubice, about 100 kilometers east of the capital Prague. The express train was carrying more than 300 passengers, with many of them were foreigners. Rescue said that 9 ambulance vans, 2 helicopters and more than 60 firefighters, both professional and voluntary, were deployed to the scene. Interior Minister Vid Rakusan said the majority of the injuries were light and that the passengers were evacuated into the train station building. The express train, operated by the private RegioJet company, was heading to the western Ukrainian town of Chop, close to the border with Slovakia. Rakusan said the police were identifying the passengers gathered at the train station after receiving the passenger list provided by RegioJet. The Transport Ministry meanwhile said investigation into the cause of the incident was underway. Pardubice was also the scene of the worst ever Czech railway accident in 1960, when 118 people died and around 100 were injured in a head-on collision of 2 passenger trains just north of the city. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico said he could possibly return to work this month. He said this in a video posted on Facebook marking his first public comments since a 15th of May assassination attempt. In the video, Fico called his attacker an activist of opposition parties, saying there was no reason to believe the shooting was a lone lunatic.
Nemám žiadny dôvod veriť, že išlo o útok osamelého pamätienca. Už niekoľko mesiacov verejne komunikujem, že pravdepodobnosť atentátu na vládneho politika sa na Slovensku blíži k istote.
He added that he felt no hatred towards the attacker and said it was time for forgiveness. Fico is recovering at home after he was shot with 4 bullets at close range when he greeted supporters at a government meeting in the central Slovak town of Handlova. The attack left him in serious condition in hospital and needing hours of surgery. Dressed in a button-down shirt and rolled sleeves, Fico looked in good health in the video. His attacker, identified by prosecutors as 71-year-old Juraj C., was detained on the spot and charged with attempted premeditated murder. The incident has highlighted the deep polarization of politics in the Central European country of 5.4 million people. Opposition parties have led protest against Fico's government as it shifts policy by stopping military aid to Ukraine, ending a special prosecutor's office despite rule of law concerns, and revamping the state television and radio broadcaster. South Korean activists sent 10 balloons loaded with anti-Kim Jong-un leaflets into North Korea after Pyongyang sent hundreds of trash-filled balloons to South Korea last week. The defector group Free North Korea movement announced that they had launched 200,000 leaflets towards North Korea. The group's leader, Park Sang-hak, said that they used 10 balloons to send the leaflets from Pokjeong-gyeonggi. He added the balloons also included flash drives containing South Korean music. The North said its balloons carrying bags of garbage such as cigarette butts and plastic waste were retaliation for those sent by South Korean activists. While Pyongyang called off its campaign, it has warned it would restart if more balloons came north. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol this week fully suspended a 2018 tension-reducing military deal with the North in response to the trash-carrying balloons sent by Pyongyang last week. The move will allow the South to resume live fire drills and restart loudspeaker propaganda campaigns along the border with the North. Coming up, Boeing fires NASA astronaut into space on historic voyage. Stay with us. Boeing launched its very first astronauts bound for the International Space Station ISS aboard a Starliner capsule which joins a select club of spacecraft to carry humans beyond Earth. The third time turned out to be the charm for the aerospace giant after two previous bids to fly were aborted with the crew strapped in and ready to go. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sudie Williams, both of whom have two previous space flights under their belt, blasted off at 10:52 a.m. local time atop a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Their Starliner, named Calypso, is now chasing the ISS in orbit. It should rendezvous with the research lab at 12:15 p.m. on Sunday to begin a roughly 1-week stay. Starliner becomes just the sixth type of US-built spaceship to fly NASA astronauts following the Mercury, Gemini and Apollo programs in the 1960s and 1970s, the Space Shuttle from 1981 to 2011 and SpaceX Crew Dragon from 2020. Each of the past 12 months ranked as the warmest on record in year-on-year comparisons. As such, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for urgent action to avert climate hell. The Copernicus Climate Change Service said the average global temperature for the 12-month period to the end of May was 1.63 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average, making it the warmest such period since record-keeping began in 1940. In a separate report, the UN's World Meteorological Organization said there is now an 80% chance that at least one of the next 5 years will mark the first calendar year with an average temperature that temporarily exceeds 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Speaking about the findings, Guterres emphasized how quickly the world was heading in the wrong direction and away from stabilizing its climate system.
But like the meteors that wiped out the dinosaurs, we are having an outsized impact. In the case of climate, we are not the dinosaurs, we are the meteor. We are not only in danger, we are the danger, but we are also the solution.
With time running out to reverse course, Guterres urged a 30% cut in global fossil fuel production and use by 2030. Carbon dioxide emissions from burning fossil fuels hit a record high last year, despite global agreements designed to curb their release and a rapid expansion in renewable energy. As temperatures approach 43 degrees Celsius in Phoenix, United States, heat relief centers are providing water and cooling opportunities to anyone needing shelter from the intense sunlight. The extreme heat has forced authorities to close some trails at Camelback Mountain and Prestewa Peak from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for public safety. Most areas under heat warnings are facing a level 3 out of 4 severe heat risk. This means the heat will be dangerous for almost everyone, with a significant chance of life-threatening heat-related illnesses if precautions are not taken. According to a preliminary report by the Maricopa Country Department of Public Health, a total of 645 people died from heat in 2023. The National Weather Service Phoenix office predicts a similarly intense summer for Phoenix this year. Meanwhile, in Colombia's Casanera, at least 2 people have died and 4,000 have been affected by floods. Intense rains plunged vast swaths of savanna underwater, destroying crops and farmlands. Authorities and officials sailed the flooded farmlands to bring aid to the families who have been isolated after water-covered roads and fields. Many claim they had lost their crops, including banana, papaya and manioc, after intense rains ravaged the northern region. Casanera governor declared the region under public calamity in the first rainy season. Intense rains and hurricanes are expected in Colombia as part of La Nina effects. McDonald's has lost a legal battle against an Irish fast food chain after a top EU court ruled that the global chain could not exclusively call its chicken burgers Big Mac. The long-running fight began in 2017 when Supermacs of Ireland sought to have McDonald's Big Mac trademark revoked in the European Union after the US giant opposed the Irish chain's own trademark application in the bloc. The EU Intellectual Property Office initially upheld Supermac's application, but later on appeal reaffirmed the trademark protection for McDonald's Big Mac hamburgers. Yesterday, however, the Luxembourg-based General Court altered the decision, ruling that McDonald's could not claim protection for the chicken version of its iconic burger, though the original beef one remains trademarked. The McDonald's Chicken Big Mac, which contains 2 chicken cutlets, cheese, lettuce, onions, pickled cucumbers and the special Big Mac sauce, is more widely available outside the EU. McDonald's can appeal the decision at the EU's highest court. An Italian court reconvicted Amanda Knox of slander for accusing an innocent man of killing her British roommate in 2007, a murder she herself was jailed for before being acquitted. The American wiped away tears in court in Florence after she was sentenced to 3 years already served for having accused, during police questioning, a Congolese bar owner of murdering 21-year-old Meredith Kircher. Knox was 20 when she and her Italian then-boyfriend were arrested for the brutal killing in November 2007 of fellow student Kircher at the girls' shared home in Perugia. A long legal saga followed, where the pair was found guilty, acquitted, found guilty again, and finally cleared in 2015. But Knox still had a 2011 conviction for slander, which carried a sentence of 3 years for initially telling police that Patrick Lumumba was the murderer. Italy's highest court threw out that verdict on appeal last October and ordered a retrial, which began earlier this year. The sentence given during the final hearing will have no practical impact, as it is covered by the time Knox has spent in jail for Kircher's murder case. Zverev reaches another French Open semi-final. That and more in our sports segment. The Malaysian men's hockey squad beat Canada 4-2 in their final Group B Nations Cup match at the National Gryzeno Stadium in Poland. The win was the first for the Speedy Tigers under coach Sarjit Singh in 3 matches after having played to a 4-all draw against Pakistan and losing 1-3 to France in their 2 earlier matches. The Speedy Tigers scored through Fitri Sari, Azrai Aizat Abu Kamal, Said Shafiq Shade Cholan and Muhajir Abu Rauf. Kana replied through Rup Kanwar Dylan and Mansarovar Sidhu. The win, however, saw Malaysia remain third in Group B with 4 points behind group leader France with 6 points and second place Pakistan, who also have 4 points but with a better goal advantage. Based on the format of the tournament, the top 2 teams move into the semi-finals. The Nations Cup champion will earn a chance to play in the SAHIH Professional League. Alexander Zverev advanced to his 4th successive French Open semi-final with a 6-4, 7-6, 6-4 win over Australian 11th seed Alex de Minaur. 4th seed Zverev will play Casper Ruud for a place in Sunday's final after the Norwegian received a walkover following Novak Djokovic injury and forced withdrawal. Germany's Zverev is on an 11-match winning streak after clinching the Rome title last month, but he has never reached the final at Roland Garros.
another semi-final here, which I'm very pleased about. But of course, I want to win one. I want to be in the finals, and that's my main focus. But I think from the level today, it was a good match for me, and happy to be where I am.
The former US Open runner-up took control and claimed a seesawing first set after a crucial break in the 7th game, but was dragged into a dogfight in the next after the duo swapped serves again and went to a tie-break. Zverev fought from 4-0 down in the tie-break and reached set point after a breathless 39-shot rally, doubling his lead in the contest shortly after and soaking up the applause from the court Philippe Chatrier crowd. De Minaur gifted his opponent a break and a 4-2 lead with a double fall, but battled tenaciously to recover it 3 games later, only to surrender serve again with Zverev closing out the victory thanks to an unforced error. In the women's draw, Mira Andreeva became the youngest Grand Slam semi-finalist for 27 years with a shock win over Aryna Sabalenka. The 17-year-old Andreeva fought back from a set down against Australian Open champion Sabalenka, who appeared to be hampered by illness, to win 6-7, 6-4, 6-4 and set up a last 4 meeting with Italy's Jasmine Paolini. The Russian is the youngest woman to reach the last 4 at a slam event since Martina Hingis at the 1997 US Open, and the youngest at Roland Garros since Hingis also that year.
I don't even have a plan, so when I see an open space on the court, I try to play there, or if I think that maybe she will run there, I try to play behind her back or something like this. Me and my coach, we had a plan today, but again, I didn't remember anything during the match. So just try to play as I feel, and that's it.
Sabalenka called for multiple medical timeouts as she complained of not feeling well, and Andreeva, playing in her maiden slam quarterfinal, eventually took advantage with a composed display. The world number 38 completed a memorable win in style after almost 2.5 hours with a brilliant lobbed winner, delighting the court Philippe Chatrier crowd. In cycling, world champion Remco Evenepoel offered a glimpse of his potential Tour de France form by taking the overall lead at the Critérium du Dauphiné with a pulsating time trial win. 2 months after breaking a shoulder, Belgian Evenepoel won the 34 kilometers individual effort in the 8-day Centrium by 17 seconds from Brighton Josh Totling and 39 seconds ahead of Primož Roglic. The trio should also be medal hopes at the Paris Olympics time trial. Roglic and Evenepoel, however, are seen as rivals to Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar at the upcoming Tour de France, where 2 tough time trials, one on gravel and the other a final day slog across the Monaco to Nice-Konačić, stand in the way of any winner. With a blockbuster weekend of climbing in the Alps ahead, Evenepoel leads Roglic by 33 seconds in the overall standings, with Paris-Nice champion Matteo Jorgensen of Visma in the third at 1 minute 7 seconds. Other potential winners, Spaniard Juan Ayuso of UAE at 1 minute 27 seconds and Carlos Rodriguez of Ineos at 1 minute 41, lurk slightly lower down the standings awaiting the mountain challenges. World Cup champion Lionel Messi is back in training with the Argentinian national team as they enter their final phase of their preparations for the 2024 Copa America. The team is gearing up for friendly matches against Ecuador and Guatemala, sharpening their skills and solidifying their strategy. Joining Messi on the field, including Julian Alvarez, known for his speed and precision, who is expected to be a key player in the upcoming matches. Angel Di Maria, another forward with a wealth of experience, and Lautaro Martinez, a formidable striker, will be looking to add to his goal tally. Messi, the team's captain and talisman, seemed in high spirits during the training sessions, often seen joking around with his teammates. His positive attitude and leadership are vital as Argentina aims to add another Copa America title to its illustrious history. With a blend of seasoned veterans and emerging talents, Argentina is poised to make a strong showing in the 2024 Copa America. In MotoGP, six-time world champion Marc Marquez will join the Ducati factory team on the two-year deal from 2025. The 31-year-old Spaniard, who also has world championships from 125cc and Moto2, is racing this season for the Ducati satellite team. Gresini Racing is third in the standings. The Italian manufacturer said Marquez will replace Italian Enea Bastianini alongside the team's reigning double world champion Francesco Bagnaia. Ducati course general manager Luigi Dalinga said there had been a list of strong riders to choose from and thanked Bastianini and championship leading Spaniard Jorge Martin for their contributions. Martin's move from the Pramac Ducati team to Aprilia on a multi-year deal was announced on Monday. Bastianini is expected to move to KTM. Marquez had made clear in April that he wanted a full factory ride after leaving an uncompetitive Honda for Gresini at the end of 2023. Gresini used a Ducati Desmo C-DC GP23 as opposed to the factory Desmo C-DC GP24 machines.
Kelayakan Piala Dunia 2026 dan Piala Asia 2027, amukan Harimau Melaya terus diledakkan dalam memburu peluang untuk terus mara bagi mendominasi kumpulan D. Khamis 6 Jun, siaran langsung Kyrgyzstan bertemu Malaysia 10.30 malam di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Klik.
And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, Putin threatens to arm countries to strike West. Do join us again this evening at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. We leave you with a light show feature drones forming various shapes over Portsmouth, England on the eve of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Till then, I'm Olivia Nicholas from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free.